Doug's media available. Kicked off. John, if you want to get it started.
What's going on, Doug? I know obviously you guys only have a couple games remaining before the SEC tournament. You've lost your last three. I guess what's kind of going to be the biggest thing that y'all have to do to kind of get back on track following those last three games?
Nice to have a day off, a little bit of a break from that hectic schedule that we just went through. And we met today, just some individual meetings, which again, when you have time, it sure makes a difference. And even if there isn't anything of substance being talked about, just anything other than trying to get to the game as fast as we can, because that's what it felt like, over the last week of what we were doing. It was just straight basketball. So I think just kind of a refreshing of the mind and spirit helped out a little bit for today's practice. And then one basketball thing that we had talked about is that we've done such a nice job of taking care of the basketball. And that's kind of been our edge, in terms of if we're going to lose a rebounding battle, we can win the turnover battle. And there's a couple of games where I thought uncharacteristically turned the ball over or made some decisions to drive into three people as opposed to space the floor. So, we watched a little bit of film today, had a good practice where we got up and down and was sweating and felt pretty good. And then as I was walking out of practice, I was like thinking, I'm getting cocky because we're going live and we're having contact. We still have 7 players. Be careful. We need to get down this stretch, but everybody is healthy. It was really good energy for today's practice.
Doug, you guys, you had 4 games in 7 days. You're kind of talking about it right there. But when you look back on that stretch with only 7 available players and all those games just stuffed together, how hard was that?
Yeah, it was hard, and it forced us to be extremely tough and resilient, which I think we've shown throughout the year. And there was a couple times where we broke. We broke in terms of you miss a box out or you get a little bit tired and you drive into a crowd. We just can't afford those mistakes. Down the stretch of a game. But overall, the toughness to take on those battles, a game is always a roller coaster. There's ups and downs, and you're not going to knock us out with your first punch. We're going to come back at you, and we kept on doing that. And then you just keep playing the percentages like we've been doing, and our team's spirit is extremely high. We're focused on the things that we think are important, and eventually the score is going to take care of itself. Stefan, go ahead.
Yeah, kind of, going off of that, you guys get into that tough stretch there and you lose the last 3 games. Did it make it a little bit more difficult just that, you were consistently playing a game, taking a day off, playing a game? Like, is it nice to kind of just break that routine because, maybe it led to some tough stretches for you guys? Yeah,
it definitely. And you have to be careful. I try to be careful about, routines becoming rituals, becoming superstitious. And I think superstitious is crazy. You got to be careful a little bit with rituals because you think you have to do this in order to play. A routine is fine. But even if we had 4 straight days to practice, I don't necessarily want to run practice exactly the same, even though the same skill set needs to be worked on, just because you want to put them in a different order or keep things fresh, keep stretching them. So, but to break up that routine of game practice, just for their bodies and their minds is a really healthy thing, because that was pretty tough, what they just went through. So, these next couple of days for us will be telling. And today, like I said, today was a very good practice, very good focus and concentration, and good energy. It's almost like they got a little extra. I'm not saying they're dragging, but there was a little more pep to their step today.
Yeah, when you're looking at,
hold on 1 second. Let me get one more added person in here really quick.
You're good.
All right, go ahead.
Just when you look at, the guards that you have on your team, and I know, whether it be a coach wanting to play 2 guards or 3 guard set, and kind of the combinations of players you would normally want to send out there. What has it kind of been about this group that you can send 4 or 5 guards out there at a time, and they've all kind of learned to play together with each other on the court?
Yeah, it can be difficult with some inbounds plays, and if somebody is into the numbers game, that I'm a 1, I'm a 2, I'm a 3, I'm a 4. We never have been. We'll do it a little bit just to explain defensively what we're guarding. But we're trying to create basketball players that can play anywhere. So every time you touch the ball, you're the point guard. You have to have point guard type decision-making skills. So that's helped us down the stretch when we're all of a sudden putting Aislinn Hayes and you're playing on the 4 side. She's playing a legitimate 4, and she's probably been a point guard her whole life, and just because she's one of the bigger 5'6" players that we have in strength, and she's a little bit longer than she appears, and she's pretty tough. She'll go get some rebounds, but she doesn't panic when we haven't even worked on it and said it's just one of those things. Foul trouble, ankle sprain, need you to play over here. You got it? Yes. And once you've done it a few times, the panic's not there, and there's confidence that they can play anywhere with anybody. And somebody might have an advantage on one end, but we might have the advantage on the other end.
Robbie, go ahead.
Doug, being around that Tennessee program over the years, being at Tennessee and kind of watching that program really do what it did at the time when you were there. Just can you explain what it was like seeing the Lady Ball program back then? I know that they're still a very relevant in women's college basketball, but they were at the top of their game back then. What was it like just watching what Pat Summitt was able to do during your time there?
Yeah, well, she had garnered the respect of the football coaches. Football coaches in the SEC. About as dominant of an athletic department as you can have, right? College football. Well, all of those coaches respected Coach Summitt and the women's basketball program and the baseball coach, and right on down the line. She stood toe to toe with men's athletics when it wasn't as easy, and then she always gave men credit. It wasn't a zero-sum game. Both programs could win. And she would always compliment Phil Fulmer and Johnny Majors and the football program for bringing in such money for the library. And it didn't take away for all the special things that the women's basketball program was doing. And so I think because of her approach, along with Joan Cronin, is that the whole school and I shouldn't even say school, the state of Tennessee just loved her. And it showed up through the girls' high school basketball games and throughout the student body with the kind of crowds that they could get. And they put out such a good product. They did it the right way. They were tough. They were smart, but there was still a humility about the program where they were never walking around campus acting like they were the biggest thing or that they were being slighted because they were females. They were very proud of what they had accomplished. And they could stand toe to toe with the football program. I was so impressed being around it. And then, my wife got to work on the marketing side with the Lady Vols on the basketball. So I got to see that next level of it and all the preparation that goes into not just the basketball portion, but the whole athletic department on the female side, because it was split up into men's and women's at that time. I think there were 2, one at the University of Minnesota and one at Tennessee. And just how they navigated that female athletic department. And Pat and Joan Cronin really led that department. And they were always giving to other programs that maybe weren't getting as much notoriety or attention because of the national championships, but they were always trying to build people up. And if there was, just one thing that I could say about, that program is that they weren't trying to take everything for themselves. They were trying to build everybody up. They were trying to build up softball. They're trying to build up volleyball. And I guess we say this to our team too. The great ones bring out the best in others. And that's what Pat Summitt and Joan Cronin, the athletic director, did during the times that I was around.
A follow-up to that, you mentioned Pat and the job that she did, and obviously she's got this amazing coaching tree that's come from the players that she coached over the years. I know they went through a little bit of a stretch after she had retired where they struggled to their standards. But what's Kelly Harper done to kind of get them back thinking that they can get back on track to where they were before Pat had retired?
Well, I don't know her very well at all, just watching her teams, but boy, she sounds like Pat. She has that same stature at a younger age, and I didn't know Pat at that age. And she is Tennessee, like through and through. You can just feel it. So yeah, I don't know. My first look will be when we play them, and I'm looking forward to getting to meet her and play against them.
Stefan, go ahead.
Yeah, Doug, I know you haven't taken, too many opportunities to kind of reflect on the position you've gotten here at Mississippi State, but what is it a bit surreal for you to kind of think back to, where you were in the 80s and 90s, around Tennessee, and to now be, going back there to coach as the head coach of an SEC program?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it until yesterday, knowing that we're going to go there and play, probably because I don't look too far ahead on anything. But yeah, I think it will be strange. It'll be odd. I mean, I'd always been a Tennessee guy. I mean, that's where, from 18 to 22 years old, I grew up, with that program. And you go away and you join other programs, and, it's been a while. So, 1990, 91 in that era, and to come back, it'll feel like home. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of nostalgia, and then I don't think I'll notice anything at all once that game gets started. Like my days with Tennessee are over. I'm with Mississippi State right now, and let's get after it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you know the words of Rocky Top? You want to perform them for us real quick?
Well, I actually do have a guitar right back there that I'm supposed to do a little promo for. There's about 5 different versions to Rocky Top, and so the first, Mackenzie, my daughter, the first UT football game I brought her to, and we used to play Rocky Top in our house. We just do it, and we brought her into the stadium, and they score a touchdown, and they start playing Rocky Top, and she starts getting excited, and she goes, "Dad, how did they get our song? They're playing our song." I said, "Well, it's actually not our song."
Anything else, Coach? All right. Thanks, everybody.